Nope, can't hear you. Oh, you went live. You might want to do something with your volume. Not at all. I mean, I hear nothing. Nothing at all. Nope. Nothing at all. Nope. I can hear myself. I mean, hi. I guess I'm here on the live. Technical difficulties, folks. Still don't hear you. Yeah, Steven's trying to tweak and try to get the sound. Well, I guess in the meantime, I might as well entertain you guys. How's everybody? Hopefully we had a good Steven meeting last time. So far, Steven? Nope, not yet. I'll entertain everybody until you figure it out. Oh wait, you're muted. You're muted. This time you're muted. No. Yeah, this is odd. You're gonna go back out and come back in. Okay, all right. He's gonna come back out and go back out and come back in. It might knock me out also, but in the meantime, we can talk about Steven, what he's been up to. So as far as we can talk about, he's been doing 23-1s, the 223-1s back to back. So I'm very curious how that went. He's texted me a few times about it. So, and he's actually understanding the fact. The last thing that he talked about was the fact that his wife. There you go.
You can hear me.
Yes, finally. Can you hear me?
Right. Okay. Thank you for that, Raymond, and sorry for the technical difficulties. Right. So I'm going to screen share, and we'll go through my week. I don't know what you were telling me, telling everybody there, but
I was just stalling.
You were stalling. Right. Here we go. So let's just screen share and go into the food and everything. And here we go. So that window is there. We're going to go there and we're going to share. So, right, here we are. So as you can see, week 4 started and I had no cramps. So that was one of the things that happened the week before was I had some cramps, some really bad cramps in my calf, but that completely went. So I did my first OMAD with 23 hours in between. And I suppose I'm just going to cut to the chase. I've lost 7 pounds. We're not doing progress pictures yet, but I am doing videos behind the scenes where I'm in my underwear and spinning around, and we will do that in a couple of weeks' time. But anyway, I've lost 7 pounds, and this was my meal: just eggs, a little bit of halloumi. This is blood pudding. We call it black pudding in the UK, and bacon. So that was good. So this was then a 2-mad day. So at 6 p.m. I had a couple of ribeyes and curds, because this is my week of raw milk as well, to just see how I did with raw milk cheese, raw milk kefir, and those sort of things. And this was how I felt. The energy into this 3rd week was just incredible. Just couldn't believe my energy levels were just through the roof, absolutely through the roof. So I was really pleased that I was doing this. So then Tuesday, we got some fillet steak, some eggs and some bacon, and that was at 10:15. And then at 4 p.m. I had another couple of ribeyes, and they were smothered in butter. So eating rather a lot of butter, maybe 100 grams of butter with that particular meal. Now, I did this note because Raymond mentioned our coronary artery calcium scores were very similar, but our journeys to getting there were very different, because I was healthy. I was skim milk and freshly squeezed orange juice and oatmeal and fruit and cutting the fat off of everything. So I didn't smoke, I didn't drink, I was very active, and I had a CAC score of 639. And Raymond was not doing that sort of thing. I think, knew he wasn't eating the best in the world, and he ended up with a CAC score of just over 700. So we were two ends of the spectrum, but we ended up in exactly the same space and place. And then when we talked about it, when we met at Meet RX, when we were both coaching there, it was Raymond's very off the cuff glib remark, I'm doing carnivore to get rid of my issues with my CAC. I just thought, yep, carnivore's for me. Didn't do any supplements. I did at that time, I was doing K2 and D3 and all this sort of stuff, but now I'm just using carnivore to get my heart back where it should be. The caffeinated coffee, what happened was I ran out of decaf coffee, and everything was caffeinated because I've been talking about coffee, and that was a nightmare. I just felt really poorly from that. And then Raymond sent me something he saw, which was pretty funny, a diabetic event. They were offering coffee and cake, which he knows drives me to destruction. It's just incredible that they still do that. So Wednesday, 25th of May, I was 58. 8 a.m. I wanted a birthday breakfast. So again, talking about things that people struggle with, that is, social occasions and things like that, where you're expecting something for your birthday. I woke up because I'm a big kid. I was very excited and I was really starving, hungry. So 8 o'clock in the morning, very unusual for me to have breakfast that early, but it was really good. And what happened was I decided to have a couple of coffees with caffeine as well. And I literally had these sort of shapes in front of my eyes. I got this off the internet. Somebody had drawn how their ziggy-zag bits happened in their eyes. Raymond's looking confused, but we haven't had a chance to talk to each other about this. So if I have caffeine and I have too much, my vision gets these sort of ziggy-zaggy things running across my vision, into my field of vision. Not this big purple spot, but this is very like what I see. And as I scan my eyes around, it judders and moves across my vision, and I can't read things, can't read my phone. So that's too much caffeine, and that happened after just 2 cups of coffee early in the morning. Lots of caffeine, so that's a bit troublesome, I think. And it was just really the birthday vibe, as I put there. It was very difficult to keep away from food. I was just thinking, it's my birthday, I'm going to eat lots of food. I didn't, but I felt like I really wanted to. So it just shows that even when you've been doing this for 3 years, I've been doing, you can still fall into problems. So today's major observation is that eating too early was a problem when doing too mad. By 5:30, I felt quite in need of food. Now, I didn't send this picture on the right day because it says here Thursday, the 26th of May. I forgot to send Raymond a picture because I was enjoying my birthday. But there it was. Yesterday's 5:30 meal was pretty hearty. So we've got steak there, we've got a lamb patty, and we had all the organ meats and some raw milk cheese. So I had heart, liver, and kidney on my YouTube channel, which you're now on. There is a full video showing you how we had the heart and the kidney and the liver as well. You don't have to eat organs, but I just fancied it because we went to this farm that did this raw milk cheese, and we then went to a butcher's that was nearby, and they had those organs there. But I would say this big chunk of meat in the middle here, well, to give you some reference, this steak cost £7. All of this meat cost just over £1. So the heart was 37p. So it's incredibly cheap, and the heart is very just taste-wise like eating steak. It was a lamb's heart. So if you were really struggling with the ridiculous amount of inflation that's going on, and you still want to eat carnivore, this might be a way to actually justify eating organs. You don't have to eat organs, but it was a nice cheap way to keep on side with budget, and a big plate full of food. And heart was actually delicious. It's something I am going to introduce into my diet, not because of the nutritional density and all that sort of stuff. I actually really enjoyed it, and it's really inexpensive, so we're going to do that. The flip side to the scale, by the way. So I went on the scale last week and said it was a bit demotivating, but when it's in your favor, it can be very motivating. So I'd lost 7 pounds, but retained all my muscle and lost some body fat. So I've one of those electrical impedance scales that does the body composition. So that was good. And then I had this. So we're now in this day, by the way. So that was my birthday meal from the day before, and now we're into Thursday. And I had the lamb patty, and I had the bacon and the eggs again. What do you do on a 2-med when you feel like snacking or having something in the middle of the day? It's 2:20 in the afternoon, and I could easily eat. And that was one of my questions to Raymond. And he just, because he's very clever, he just told me to eat a full meal earlier. Makes sense. So obviously I didn't eat enough earlier on when I had this, or let that suggestion of hunger go away, because it didn't last. And this is the benefit of the coaching, I think, because I'm trying to treat this as exactly like a newbie. I don't really know what's going on, and definitely asking Raymond stuff. Well, I knew what to do really, but I just thought it was worth mentioning. So I did leave it for 10 minutes. And I hadn't eaten enough earlier. That was the problem. So 10 minutes later, I've said to him, I'll do that next time, but today I'm just going to eat this second meal earlier. And this is called a hanger steak. Very thinly sliced from A2 grass-fed beef. Fantastic taste. It was wonderful. So I've now learned that if I'm doing 2-med, try not to eat early. That's one of the things I've learned. So when I ate at 8 o'clock in the morning, that was no good. 9:45, I still think that's a touch early for me, but I've taken his advice. Instead of having a small meal, I've gone for quite a big steak and eggs. And I think there's a couple of duck eggs in there as well. So it's very unctuous, a lot of nutrition in there. But this was the big thing for me, was that I wasn't finding the food as enjoyable after the event. Once I'd eaten it, I used to eat and really loved that aftertaste, that glow of feeling fully loaded with nutrients. But I almost regretted eating that. I didn't feel like it was the thing. It wasn't a negative thing, but more like I ate it because I should eat it. I'm on 2-med today, so I better eat a meal, rather than I woke up hungry. And I think that's because I had the direction from Raymond the day before: eat a bit later, eat a full meal. And it was like, oh, I need to do that. I need to do that. Whereas I wasn't really listening to my hunger. So I should have just had that maybe a little bit later. Hope that made sense. And I also noticed, as I've commented here, last few days I've also had raw milk dairy, and I definitely respond better to that. So the decaf coffee I was having with raw milk cream, which is fantastic, and my bowel movements were back to normal. So it could be part of the Chisel process. It could be the fact that the dairy is more agreeable for me. I broke all my rules about experiments and did 2 different things. I'm doing Chisel and I also did raw milk. So don't know definitely what's happening there, but possibly I'll go back pasteurized at some point in this process and see if there's any difference. So then at 6:30 I had steak and cheese, again that raw milk cheese, which is fantastic. And then I realized that it should have been an OMAD day. So I'd moved my OMADs to tomorrow. And this is what happened yesterday. I was at a food festival, which was like a birthday treat for my weekend. And what I did was I had this breakfast out, which was 3 poached eggs, bacon, and 2 sausage. So don't forget, it's OMAD, So straight after that, I went to a stall at the food festival and I had sausage and cheese. And that counted as one meal because I had it together, literally had it sort of like following on. So this was in a cafe and then this was a street vendor. And then today, Sunday, here we are, ready for the live stream. A nice big meal, and again doing OMAD. So we've got plenty of cheese here, plenty of bacon. We've got 5 eggs. This one's flipped over, and that's been brilliant. But and this is something that Raymond's just spoken to Jane about. So my wife is not doing OMAD. And this afternoon, before the meeting we just did with the Steak and Butter gang, she cooked a fantastic roast. So I'm in the house doing OMAD, and I've already eaten all this. And yes, it was very satisfying. But boy, was that difficult. That was really difficult. And she also wants to mention it's difficult from her point of view as well, because she's trying to eat and not impact me. And, you know, she's trying to be respectful of the fact that I'm OMAD. But, you know, things like making lovely hot meat smells go through the house, can't really get away from that. So I thought this, I wonder if she's cooking that, whether Raymond would let me get away with a little bit of cheese. And I genuinely was thinking, I wonder if a little bit of cheese will help. I did her, and I didn't do it, but I can imagine that people do think that when they're doing the chisel, think, well, maybe that won't be a big problem if I have a little bit of something. And he said, yeah, that's hunger from socialization. We have empathy for other people's hunger or enjoyment, and it makes us want something we don't really want. And that's true, because basically I didn't eat anything. Here I am, few hours later, and I didn't eat anything, and that was it. So, and I put that in a message, so everyone's seeing my private thoughts there. And it was a great week. So like I say, lost 7 pounds. That was good. Food was really lovely. I did have that strange feeling of, you know, not enjoying the food, which I certainly was not expecting, because all the time I've been carnivore, 3 years, I've really enjoyed the food. But I think now what's happening is the chisel part of it is kicking in. When I eat, I'm eating plenty, and it's enough. And for some days, it's going to be enough. So that's my week. And Raymond, do you want to go on for that?
Yeah, first of all, that's totally normal about not enjoying your food. The reason that the priming process is so important at first is because you're eating like it's your job. There will be times when we go forward on the fasting that you literally don't want to eat. And I'm going to tell you, go ahead and eat. So you're already starting to experience that. Also, there will be points where your meals will get much smaller, not because you want to, it just kind of happens. Now, I do want to go back a little bit about your wife cooking and her feeling guilty. Look, all of this, you're going to have to make peace with. It's okay for you to join her into eating. You can sit down with her, have a chat. The normal is just you're not eating. You can even cook for her during that time. And all of that shouldn't affect you. Now, what is affecting you, yes, what is affecting you is really what you're used to, how you used to. So you're going to have to reprogram your brain into saying it's okay not to eat and joining in with your wife. It's okay to even cook for her if you wanted to during the time of your fasting. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's actually great.
Yeah, that's the first time you've ever said that. So that's a great bit of advice, actually, because it's blatantly obvious that I can do that. And isn't that weird? Because it's a sort of it's a social norm, isn't it, to have a meal together, eat together, talk together. Well, what's the big deal about me just sitting there with a drink, you know, a cup of black tea, and enjoying that? That's brilliant, Raymond. So people are seeing a real live bit of coaching, because that is yes, Rupert is lovely, and putting me off considerably. But anyway, yeah. So that's a great bit of advice. That is a really good bit of advice, because I felt exactly what I said to you. I was deliberately separating myself, which seemed to make it worse. You know, I was sort of hiding away, but I could smell the food, didn't know what was going on. I think the deafness for people that don't know, we're hearing aids, do a bit of lip reading. I am quite visual, and I suppose there's a little bit of worry that it would just be, wow, look at that food, I need to eat. But I'm a grown up, so possibly that isn't going to be a big issue. But I'll definitely try that, because I've got 2 days now of TUMAD, and then I have 5 days of OMAD. And I wanted you to just explain sort of this week for people why it's called level 2, and what your rationale is behind the 2 mads and then going 5 days of OMADs.
Yes, so very important for the going to the 5 days of OMAD. That's pretty much graduating, getting you ready for the skip days. If you can handle 5 days of OMAD, a skip is no big deal as far as skipping a day. Now, 5 days of OMAD, the biggest rule is going to be you can eat at any portion of the day on these OMADs. You don't have to look for the 23-1, which is nice. You're just eating 1 meal a day. No big deal. You could pick whether it's dinner, whether it's lunch the next day, whether it's breakfast the next day. What I like to do during the 5 OMADs is to learn your patterns. Remember, Stephen, you were like, oh, I probably did not like eating early in the morning and then waiting so late to eat. Actually, that is what I want you to practice. I want you to practice a breakfast and lunch, dinner, and a breakfast and dinner, and then see which one you actually preferentiate. So once you figure that out, then you actually know what your best home base is. Now, of course, things change depending on how busy you get, which is totally normal. But that's part of the exercise. These 5 OMADs is not just we're just throwing it there just so you can try that. It's also to be curious about changing the time on the clock, of when you're eating.
Yeah, and that's brilliant, because again, that's something that is new to me to think about, which is, like you say, breakfast and lunch, breakfast and dinner and lunch, those sort of things as a pattern. You mentioned a word there, which I do know what it is, but I'd like you to explain as well for people that are watching, what you mean by a home base. What do you mean by that?
Oh, that's right. So your home base is right now on 2 meals a day. That is where you stand naturally and you're content with. Everything's normal. It's not straining. It's very easy for you to do. And this is where I want you to be if said you got sick or anything like that. Actually, when you get sick, then all bets are off. It's you're not fasting, you're not feasting. But anyways, you're 2-madding on your home basis. 3 days of 2 mads, 2 meals a day, meaning that's your rest period before you take on the next challenge.
Well, that's brilliant. So I've actually made my notes here, which is basically practice a pattern. You probably can't read that. I've got my doctor's writing there. But anyway, so I'm going to try breakfast, dinner, then dinner, lunch, and then I'm going to try breakfast and lunch. So again, it's one of those things that I coached like that, but I didn't realize it was so formalized in Chisel. So I would say it's been brilliant for me as someone that's never tracked before. I don't believe in all that. I don't count calories. I don't believe in all that. But one thing I can't believe is how it's changing my relationship with food, because I'm a foodie. I mean, the reason we went to a food festival in the middle of an OMAD is because for my birthday, it's still something I really enjoy. So it's something I like being around. Possibly a stupid thing to do as well, because I thought, maybe the temptation would be too much, but it was a way to test if this is working. And it really did, because there was like hog roasts, there was tons of different meats to have there. And I could have had a field day, and I could have really eaten way too much because it just looked fantastic. But I have got to maybe I'm talking out of turn here, but I have actually got to food freedom. Definitely. Yes, these little bits that I need to talk to you about, but it's nowhere near how I used to be. I would think about food a lot. Nothing bad, by the way. It was always carnivore food. I was just thinking, well, could do a ribeye now, could lamb steak or whatever, or eggs. But now it's a bit more, the entertainment has come out. I still enjoy it. The entertainment's definitely come out. The thinking about it's come out. And for people that I coach, actually, it's interesting because, you know, I've had a couple of WhatsApp messages from people that are sending me their details as I coach them. And it's really just nice to have that first-hand experience of like, oh, yeah, I remember this phase for myself. And you do get this door open that says, you know, welcome to food freedom. It really, it's incredible. I mean, I'm only, into the fourth week of this, and it has completely resetted. And I don't want to harp on about this, but I think it's those first 2 weeks, you know, I know you've designed this, Raymond, and I'm so impressed. Those first 2 weeks where you do 3 MAD and snacks, and then you just do 3 MAD, where you saturate your enzymes and your satiety signals, your hunger signals, and give it like a reboot. And it really has been an epiphany for me. I can't, this is all genuine, by the way. We haven't scripted. This is how I feel. Raymond doesn't know I feel this way about it. It's just a complete turnaround for me. And I have fasted before. I have done OMAD, but it's been very casual and on my terms. So it's nice to have this regimented. You've got, you know, I can't wait to do. I can't believe I'm saying that. I can't wait to do 5 OMADs. I can't wait. Whereas before, I might have thought, that's a bit of a tough call. I might be all right for a couple of days, but then I'm going to really struggle. And yes, I've still got it to come, and I haven't actually done it. But in my head already, it's like I just can't wait. And I think the body composition changes, and I know people, you know, want to see the progress pictures and stuff like that. I think it's going to start to be quite a big change. I know when you did like Bart, you waited the whole 12 weeks, and I understand that as well, because it's a big reveal. Like, here we start. Here's the difference. Wow, what a difference! And I'm thinking we might hold back on that and do exactly that, and then release sort of like the weekly progress, because I think the weight and the body composition, there's no correlation. The weight at 7 pounds, I thought the body composition would change a bit more. I think it would be more noticeable, but it isn't. But I feel like next week it's going to be more aesthetically different. Maybe the weight will stay the same. I mean, the scale is proving itself to be irrelevant and actually troublesome, because it doesn't relate to how I feel, doesn't relate to anything. Whereas how I look and how I feel is really important. And the top thing at the moment is how I feel and what's going on in here, and the freedom from the food, that the freedom to not be thinking about it all the time, and just get on with my day and do other things. So yeah, it's just been such a brilliant learning curve for me and an experience, and I'm just hoping people are enjoying getting in with it as well, and those that have done the Chisel are laughing, thinking, yeah, I did that happened to me, because I see a lot of times you're smiling and thinking, I don't know if it's from memory or from coaching people, but I get the feeling that I'm just feeling what everyone else feels.
That's right. Actually, it's funny because I'm listening to you and I'm like, wow, this sounds so familiar. You know, over and over again, the same thing. People are fascinated by the priming, and you know, at first I have fear, you know, about even going into the 23 ones or the OMADs. There's all kinds of fears, and then there's this excitement that comes up, like I can't wait to do it, and so there's this little balance of playing in everybody's head, like, I don't know if I can do this, but I want to do this, you know, that kind of thing, you know, and eventually you'll start getting the confidence that, hey, I could possibly do a rolling 48, because after a while you get so many in, or even a 72, you know, which I know you've done a 3-day fast before, 72, but it's going to be a totally different experience. The fact that you don't have to white knuckle it, and the fact that I don't ever like saying easy, but definitely doable, you know. And of course I have a lot of members that are like, oh, this is the easiest fast I've done. Okay, well, we can't say easy, it's just doable, you know, very doable.
And what do you mean by white knuckle?
Great question. So white knuckling is where you're just kind of staring at the clock and grinning and bear it, and you're just trying to do everything you can so you don't think about food. So you're actually it it actually you actually almost have physical pain where your stomach is like feeling very tight, grumbly, and all you can think about is food. None of that should happen.
Well, yeah, I mean that's what I'm already feeling. I mean that food freedom is amazing, and I think that's how I'm feeling. I definitely feel like the longer term extended fast and 72 hours is going to be much easier. Um, Obviously, I haven't got to that and I haven't done it, so I don't want to speak too much out
Mhm.
of turn. But I would definitely say this program gives you the confidence for those sort of things. And I've had that with people I'm coaching as well. So, like I say, I haven't fasted for a long time. Over a year, I haven't really fasted, unless it's just serendipitous, and I haven't had time to eat, but I haven't deliberately gone out and fasted. So that's going to be very interesting. But I would say people that we are coaching and coming to the meetings, a lot of them do the extended fasting, and I can't wait to actually do it. I mean, one of the people I was talking to, who hopefully is going to be watching this, he said to me, I'm ready to do a 48-hour fast. And immediately went, what do you reckon on 72 hours? And I said, well, it sounds like you are thinking about it. So if you're at the end of your 48-hour fast and you want to extend it, you can always extend it and see how far you can go. But do sort of curtail it after the 72 hours and get back to me, because I'd like to know how it went. So I think it is something that this way of eating gives you. Definitely, you feel fuller, your satiety signals are definitely more dialed in, and I think the eating to satiety and actually not being scared of being unfed is such a big thing. It makes you very confident about the whole program. And I do think the body composition changes in the last couple of days are noticeable to me, but don't really transmit onto the camera. So I'm going to wait until next week to maybe release like 3 days, 3 progress photos, or I might just hold back and do what you did with Bart, because I think it's been incredible. The mental freedom from food, I can't stress enough, is it's just incredible.
That it is. It's amazing, and really and honestly, I believe, because there's a lot of people that kind of don't like the idea of fasting at all, but I really believe that carnivore, just being carnivore, we automatically go into this fasting mode. And with a little bit of training, just like any exercise, we're all about, hey, go ahead and do exercise, not for weight loss, but for feel good and extra benefits from it. But the same with fasting. It's just a training. And the more we train that muscle, just like a muscle, the better we get at it, the better we can do. And as far as your client, that's the temptation you're going to have sometimes, Stephen. You're going to be on your 40, 42, 32, 42, and you're going to be like, why can't I just go to 48? Because I'm really not hungry. So you're actually going to train. I'm going to tell you, no, we're going to get there, but we're going to get there on the timeline of the schedule. It's just like on a workout. Sure, you probably could push far enough. Problem is if you push too far, then all of a sudden you're going to have to recover a certain amount of time because you pushed too hard early on. So that's why we're stair stepping it slowly. So, and that's why I know this works best. If we slowly stair step it up instead of like, hey, let's put you on a 72 right now. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I hate fasting. Not a good idea, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing we're deliberately doing is following the program. That's it, and sticking to everything and not allowing a bit of intuition to come into it, because it makes sense, because you can run before you can walk, definitely. And I think with the coaching, sometimes I'm a bit free and easy, because if someone wants to go for it, I feel like, I just want to pick up on that enthusiasm. But like I say, I always put the proviso in, if you're feeling lightheaded, you feel cold, you feel like you can't function, you have gone too far too quick, and we just need to stop it, and you need to eat something. But I think with this is, I mean, it's 12 weeks, and it's difficult to not be impatient because it's working so well, and you just have to curtail that and just follow it. So I agree with everything you're saying, and I suppose what you said about training, if I relate it back to personal training, I'm always saying to people, less is more. Just because a 15-minute thing works really well for you, and it is working really well, doesn't mean 20 minutes is going to work really well for you. Let's stick with what we're doing, because we know that you're working to fatigue, you're finishing within 15 minutes, and we know the science of the 36-hour protein synthesis. We know that you can work tomorrow because you're not doing push, you're doing pull, and it's all going to work. And I get that all the time in my training. So I'm now applying it to nutrition a lot more, and being a lot more rigid with it. And I think maybe going forward with my coaching, I will possibly use the Chisel workshop as a thing for people to use as an adjunct, and basically say, look, I can coach you through this, but follow this plan for 12 weeks if you want to as well. And they will marry up so well because I've done it myself personally, so I know firsthand how it feels. I also have people that are coming to me that have done it, and then they're going on for further coaching for other things. And it just seems, it's such a good plan. I don't know if you want to talk about this. I'm really interested in how you came to do Chisel. How did you come to the protocol, or would you rather not tell me?
Oh, no, it's no secret. So the first thing that I noticed was Dr. Baker. He was talking, and he was like saying that he ate so much Brazilian barbecue one day, and he was so stuffed he didn't eat for the next 48 hours. And that really was the catalyst of it all, because I was like, wait a minute. So if I eat enough, I can go long periods of time without eating. Then, of course, I ran into Dr. Jason Fung talking about all the benefits of fasting. Then I was like, I understand what he's saying about how beneficial is fasting, but how important is it to be carnivore and also feasting properly through that? And that's how that came about. So I started testing on my body. So it's actually a lot more simple than you think. So I would love to complicate with all the science and stuff that I've read. No. So what I did is, I started eating as much as possible. And then I noticed that, I did 2 MADs easy. Then I got to the OMAD, and I started tracking the time, like as far as on a calendar. And I noticed that it looks like when I was eating 2 MADs, that if I tried a 48 or say any type of extended fast, I needed about 3 days to properly recover. It's actually a little less than 3 days, but I went ahead and put that extra. So then I noticed that the more I did that and my fasting muscles started getting better, I noticed that I could actually recover in 5 days. So really 3 days is 6 meals, right? So 5 days of OMAD, which is the level 2 and level 3 to recover. Oh, Stephen. I think we lost Stephen. Stephen, did I lose? Okay, yeah, you're back. You're muted.
Am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
Yeah, sorry.
So then I was like, so I was looking at the meal. How many meals can we get away with per se and recover enough for any other challenge? And I noticed it took about 5 meals to really do it. So I was like, oh, what if you do it 5 meals in in each day? And then, so that's how that came about, but that wasn't enough. Okay. So, I was coaching carnivore that whole time, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to try this. Right. So I started trying it on people, and it just, I had to tweak some things, go back, go forward. And well, that's pretty much how I created it. It just took a lot of trial and error, and eventually this seems to work the best so far.
Well, yeah, I mean, firsthand, it's just, to do it is brilliant. I mean, I've followed it and looked at it online as a workshop and thought it's brilliantly thought out. To actually do it and have it firsthand, I'm just so glad I've done it. And I think, we talked about this in the first live stream we did. And I know you've only got a couple of minutes left, Raymond. All right, I am aware of that. And you were worried, like, what if it doesn't work for us? What will we look stupid and all this sort of stuff? But I genuinely wanted to just do it. And if it didn't work, I might be the first person it didn't work for. But the amount of change it's given me is just, I'm just so glad I've done it. I really am glad I did it, even with that worry that I might look a complete idiot in front of everybody because I'm doing this, coaching online. I'm being a carnivore. I'm saying how great it is, but I just feel so confident in what we're doing is the right thing. Certainly from seeing clients, constantly seeing the benefits from coaching clients. Looking in the chat, there's quite a few people sort of saying how it's working out for them, non-scale victories and all this sort of stuff, loving the fasting. Loving fasting, using that expression, loving fasting, So I can remember when I first did my personal training qualification, and this is when I was high carb, I must have had a bit of an inkling because I can remember talking about fasting and everybody around the table said, no, it's rubbish. You don't want to fast. That's about the worst thing you can do. And so that's the mainstream mantra. And certainly, I mean, most of them were the sort of 6 small meals a day. And if you're trying to build muscle, you've got to eat 6 meals a day and be in caloric surplus for the rest of your life and all that. Well, now we're doing these DEXA scans for clients and we're seeing that, that lady I had was 69 years old, gaining in 5 months, 2 pounds of muscle, losing fat. You're proving, because you can't be in a calorie surplus and a calorie deficit at the same time. It's just the fact that the body is looking at the food coming in and changing the body composition and seeing it. Even at 69, a female 69, not doing weight training, adding muscle, taking away body fat, just because it's the right nutrients. So, fasting is part of her life, and also that's made her body composition work as well. She occasionally fasts, so it just shows that it is just about making the right amount of food go into your body at the right time and then having a break when you need to as well. And I think it's been brilliant. It's been absolutely brilliant. You've got to go, haven't you?
I do. I have a coaching call in like a minute. So you want to wrap up? Thank you, Stephen. So all right, let me know how you do on the 5-0 mats. Looking forward to it. All right, see you. Bye, everybody.
Yeah, that's brilliant. So that was all heartfelt. Genuinely enjoying the experience of this. Thank you, everybody that's put in live chat in. I haven't been answering, but I think Emily has been brilliant and replying to a lot of people, which is really good. And I would say about hormones as well. We obviously have a lot of female clients, and some are going through the menopause. And I think, like I say, that woman was 69 and her body composition and mental health was improving, less anxiety, all those sort of things. So I am looking forward to the 5-0 match. They've just said in the chat. And that's something that I possibly would have been a little bit apprehensive about. It's very, very strange. Like when we started, and I don't know if Emily's still on, maybe she is, but I think she knows I had the conversation with Raymond because might have been Emily that actually sort of suggested it in the first place to do this. And I didn't say yes straight away. I just had to go and think about it. And I just went away and I genuinely thought, well, why am I even thinking yes or no? Should I do this? Because I know it works. I'm very, very confident. I do trust the process. I know we use that expression quite a lot, trust the process. So I thought I'm actually going to put myself out there and just do this. So I'm really glad I did it. And I'm really glad that people are checking in, watch the live stream. Thank you for the live chat and people that watching it on playback. It's really good. If you've got any questions, put them in comment below. I will try to answer every comment. If you've got any observations, if you're doing Chisel yourself, wonder how you're getting on. If I'm saying stuff that relates to how you feel, that'd be really interesting. Or if you've gone through a completely different experience, or if you started it and decided to shortcut it, I'd be really interested in how anyone has approached it. And if there's anyone thinking about maybe doing this, what are the pitfalls, if there's anything that's worrying you, just put it in the comments and I'll try and reply to all of those things. Would like to just appeal. I used to hate this when I saw other people do it, but if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. It just helps the channel. And please like if you can, or share if you think it's been an interesting experience. So this week I'm looking forward to doing the 5 OMADs. I've got 2 days now where I'm having 2 meals a day. Like I say, I did it wrong. One of the OMADs, and I did eat, too early, not enough food. That's definitely caught me out. So I'm now going to learn, and this thing I'm going to do, I'm going to practice whether a 2 MAD with a breakfast and a dinner, or a breakfast and a lunch, or a lunch and a dinner is the thing that's going to suit me the best. So I was just looking to see if there was any thing in the chat that I just wanted to pick up on, because there's been a few people there saying how well it's going for them, which is really good. And there's some of the names I recognize as well, which is really lovely of you to turn up. So Dee said, still not back to where I was when I started priming 2 months ago, but my clothes fit and look better on me. So that's one of the things I'm finding, that I'm trying not to get sidetracked by things like the scale, and just go with my clothes and how I look and those sort of things. So that's great. I don't think there's anyone with any questions. So thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you'll be following it next week. There will be progress pictures at the end. And, I look forward to seeing you all next week. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.